Yeah, I was uh, listening earlier today to the Cool World review,
Whew.
and what I normally do for like every episode, I at least do like a click through to make sure that I uploaded the correct episode, and B, to make sure that everything sounds good on it, and that the whole episode is there and that there's no issues with it. But like today, I was like, you know what? Let me go back and listen to this, because even though I was there, I think maybe my brain tried to protect me and just say, you know what, let's block this whole experience out.
Right.
Not to pat ourselves on the back, but that was a hilarious episode.
It was hilarious.
Holy shit! I think that we spent maybe 30% of the episode talking about the philosophy of Roadhead.
We are off on a great start here tonight.
Oh
ladies and
yeah. And I was like, I don't know how much I mean, we did speak about Cool World. Like, there's a solid section there in the middle where like we are solid focused on the shittiness of that movie and dissecting it.
I was intentionally trying to derail that because I already had sat through all like 2+ hours of that agonizing film, and then like I was uncomfortable physically, like I felt ill, and I just didn't want to talk about it because of just how awful it was.
And that's fair.
And I would encourage people to watch to listen to the episode.
Oh yeah,
Just don't watch the movie.
yeah. And but you know what's funny about that though? Like, I was listening back to the episode, and there were moments where you mentioned how like people had actually gone back and watched the Star Wars Holiday Special, and I was going back to like some old DMs and emails because I just fucking overlooked them or forgot about them, whatever. And like from like the past few weeks, some of the past few days, yeah, like I've had homies that have written in. By the way, you guys can hit us up at superherohomies@gmail.com or any of the social media outlets. But some of the homies had hit us up, and they were like, yeah, actually, I went back and watched like Captain America 1990. So I went and watched Howard the Duck. So I went and watched like. Stop.
Yeah. These reviews we've been doing are for your protection. Now the next one that we're gonna do is actually gonna be a good movie. Because the point was not to just watch horrible films.
Right.
But if we are gonna take the time to at least watch the horrible film, honor our noble sacrifice and don't watch it. We are doing this for you, homies.
Right.
And that actually is a good segue into something I want to talk about here in the cold open. Did you see that they announced that they're Marvel Rivals is going to be like an Overwatch type game?
I hadn't heard of this.
Yeah, so they announced it towards the end of March. It was like right after we did the last Comic News episode, of course. And this is like an Overwatch type deal, but with Marvel characters.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and tell all the homies. And this is not like when we said that X-Men 97 was probably going to be bad and we were wrong. This is not like that. I'm telling you now that this game is made by NetEase. It is going to be trash. It's going to be the hardest of trash. So please avoid it. Every NetEase game they have ever made has been absolutely terrible.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that company.
That's okay. I'm gonna run it down for you. Let's see. Game portfolio. Here we go. They came out with Marvel Super War, Eve Echoes, Vikingard, Badlanders. If these sound like a bunch of like free to play, like money hungry mobile games, it's because that's what they make. That's all they make.
Oh, jeez.
So,
and this is supposed to be like, okay, so this is an Overwatch style game that they're making.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be much closer to Overwatch 2 than the original Overwatch, which was actually like a really good game for a while. But they made Lord of the Rings: Rise to War. If you haven't heard of that, Their most famous fuck up is the Diablo Immortal.
Oh, they did that.
They made that, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you see, they have this this track record where they go through and they license popular titles, and then they make a dog shit like free to play money grind game. So I'm sure it will be riddled with loot boxes and all sorts of other nonsense.
Fucking hell. Yeah, it blows my mind that companies that own these hugely popular IPs just willy-nilly license their properties out to companies that may or may not hold up the quality that is associated with the product.
I guess Disney's trying to do whatever they can for money right now.
Well, I mean, shit. When's the last time we heard anything about Avengers Campus?
As far as I know, they're still working on it, but isn't Avengers Campus going to be at Disneyland?
In California.
Yeah. So like triple the cost for you and I to be able to go there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, easily, right? I mean, because we got the tickets, like plane tickets, hotel,
all that.
Yeah. And imagine like we do all that and the shit is mid as fuck. I'm going to do the most scathing review on that shit.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Because we got to go.
We got to go, yeah.
But yeah. I think I'm going to give that shit like a year, though.
That's fair.
Because, like for the first year, it's going to be absolutely packed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just going to be... Actually, if they come out with like a few more flops, it may only be...
they have like the Carol Danvers ride.
Right.
Oh, my God. The Morbius Monster Mansion.
Actually, that'd be the first thing I go to. It's Morbin time.
They have a Madam Web thing where you're driving in like an ambulance, And there's like free Pepsi on the ride.
Oh, of course. There's got to be, right? Yeah.
I'll be honest, man. The more I bullshit this, the better it sounds.
Yeah, actually. The better it sounds.
Because I would pop for that in a heartbeat.
Oh, 100%. Speaking of video games, this was actually just announced, I think a couple hours ago, but apparently there is currently in development an Invincible game.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And I think this was made by Skydance. Let me see here. It was, they don't have a whole lot of information on it yet, but it seems... It seems like they have interesting premise going on here. What I want to know more, though, is that they mentioned something about it being maybe having a PvP aspect to it. That I don't know if that was like for certain or not.
I'm losing my interest here.
Skybound, that was the name of it.
Oh, okay.
Of the company. Yeah. So they don't have a release date yet, but it is a AAA game, apparently. A lot of the money for it has already been crowdfunded, and they're still crowdfunding more. Last I heard, they got like 8 million crowdfunded, but now they're trying to get another 5 million.
Oh.
Yeah. And, so we're going to see what comes of it.
We going to see.
Yeah. Yeah, Skybound is making an Invincible game, and it wants people to invest in the company. Yeah, so I guess even though they're more of an indie studios, they're trying to do something that is a big hit, like globally. We gonna see.
We are gonna see.
There was one more interesting thing that came out also just a few hours ago, and I'm gonna be very curious to see how this works out. If DC can finally get one of these to pop off. But Scott Snyder is launching a new line of DC comic books called Absolute Comics. And this is supposed to be something that's in line with like what Marvel did with the Ultimate Comics. So in other words, like a relaunch, modern take, easily accessible style comic books. DC has tried things like this in the past to a degree, like the All-Star series. So we got like All-Star Superman, which got rave reviews when it came out. And then we got All-Star Batman and Robin, which
had the opposite
effect. and that was pretty much it for the All-Star series. And then they had another line that was similar to that called Earth One, the Earth One comic books, and those were also really popular. But they petered out. There was a couple for Batman, Superman, a couple for Wonder Woman, and I think maybe one or two for Green Lantern. But then those also petered out. So they never had anything that had the long lasting appeal of like the Ultimate Marvel comics. But this is what Scott Snyder's trying to do now. And apparently, more info is expected to drop at San Diego Comic Con. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and apparently they're offering the creators more creative freedom, and I think that's a double-edged sword. Like, obviously, you want your creators to have freedom with comic books, especially when you're doing like any kind of relaunch, you know.
So are these going to be out of the main canon then?
These would be outside of the main canon. So it'd be like how the main canon for Marvel is 616, but the Ultimate Universe was like 1610. Same thing, you know. But like the Ultimate Comics, they should probably start small, start slow, and then build up.
Yeah.
You know, like Ultimate Comics, Ultimate Marvel, I mean, they started with like Spider-Man. And then we got the X-Men. And then we got like the Ultimates or the Avengers. And then after a while we got collaborations between like those different books and whatnot.
Yeah, so they should start do like a Watchmen book.
Motherfucker. Yeah. So we're gonna see how that goes. I'm hoping that that can get off the line, because right now, like, DC's current continuity is just overall its appeal is nil for me. You know, so I'm not really that interested in what the current canon is doing. So, I mean, this could definitely be something that could rekindle people's interest in like DC continuity. I mean, hell, when Ultimate Comics came out, it didn't take long before people were more interested in that than the main canon.
I mean, the MCU is more based off of the Ultimates. I mean, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So, speaking of, this is a little rumor that I heard, and I don't know how much truth there is to it, but apparently there are some thoughts that Zack Snyder, no relation, may end up directing the last Ronin movie.
Really?
Yeah. And as much as I do not appreciate your boy most of the time these days, I actually think that's a great fit for him.
That wouldn't be bad. I can see it. And, you know, I'll be honest, like, as a fan of Zack Snyder, I can say it depends on which Zack we get, you know?
Well, if he's going to, like, just adapt the novel, right?
Then I think we're good.
All means.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's going to, if they start trying to do, like, a loose retelling or whatever, nah, dog, I'm going to need you to get somebody else.
Yeah.
I know Denis is busy.
Yeah, he's going to be booked for the next couple of years.
Yeah, he's like the guy right now.
Oh, yeah.
But, I can only imagine that everybody is probably trying to get Greg Fraser to do their cinematography now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all the major studios.
Right.
The man, I believe he's got 2 Oscars now.
Jesus.
And he's going to get a third one for Dune 2. So
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, Dune 2 is going to clean up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's just going to be shit might be like a sweep.
I don't know if it gets, I don't know if it's going to get movie of the year or whatever, best picture, because Oppenheimer just won, and I don't think they're going to do back-to-back giant blockbusters. You know, it's going to be like a artsy movie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It'll be some, what's the chick that did
Chloe Zhao type?
No, yeah, either her or the chick that just did she was in Zombieland. What's her name?
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone. Yeah, it'll be some like artsy Emma Stone movie. Yeah, some shit like that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, chances are that's probably what they end up doing, because hell, they really give us like the big blockbuster winner once every 7 years, you know.
It's been a minute. It's it's been really since Return of the King.
Oh shit!
Since something cleaned up that much that was also such a big hit.
Right.
Damn. And I believe Return of the King still has the record, if I'm not mistaken. Like, for the most.
I remember seeing something about that.
Yeah, because it won, like, basically everything it could win.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Dune 2 is easy for cinematography, costume design, oh my God. Like, and honestly, if Austin Butler doesn't get a Best Supporting Actor nod for that, if not the actual statue, then there is no justice.
Yeah. Yeah, Yeah, I mean... I guess the catchphrase of the night, we gonna see.
We gonna see, yeah. But how about our main event, man?
Dog. Yeah, this is a big doozy. But before we get too far into things, homies one and all, welcome back to another very special episode of the Superhero Homies podcast. My name is Quentin, and tonight I'm here once again with my good friend, my brother, the homie Caleb. Welcome back.
What up, what up?
Yeah, dog.
I am ready. This is my first time on here talking about this particular subject matter. I believe that I started watching this show on your recommendation when it came out like 345 years ago when season 1 debuted, and very happy to be here, you know, reviewing the fresh season 2 part 2 today.
Right. Yeah, man. Invincible season 2 took its sweet ass time, and every time I think about the fact that season 1 came out damn near 4 years ago, it breaks my spirit a little bit. Cause fuck, like I know they don't plan on doing those kinds of breaks again, but I mean we got a whole lot of story to go. You know,
it could have been like that X-Men wait. You know,
true.
Like what, 28 years?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, they leave up like right at like a crucial point, you know, like a fucking Viltrumite war, and we never get to see the outcome. And then it's like, we're like fucking 58 years old, and they're like, hey, we're doing
Invincible 25. Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
The fuck?
Half the cast would be dead.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I love J.K. Simmons, and I wish him the best, but
same, yeah.
I don't think he's going to be doing voice acting in 25 years.
Right. He could pull a James Earl Jones, you know.
That's true. Yeah. Isn't he still alive?
He's still alive. Yeah, he officially retired.
Yeah.
But he's still alive, yeah.
Yeah, because I knew he wasn't doing Mufasa. They're doing another live-action Lion King.
Oh, that's right.
Because the last one went so fucking well.
That is a bold move on Disney's part. And by bold, I mean stupid.
Usually when we say bold in relation to the mouse, we usually mean stupid.
Yeah. We're not going to veer off onto X-Men 97 because we have a whole nother review to do on that in a couple of weeks.
We do.
But I will just say this, and no spoilers, but in relation to episode 5, which the world has been abuzz about.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness!
It made me want to like drive over here and jump on the mic immediately and just do like an episode 5 review.
Yeah, it's that good. I'll just say this because again, I know some of you may be behind, haven't seen it. Don't worry, we won't spoil anything that has happened in that episode.
Yeah, you guys got several weeks before we talk about X-Men again.
Yeah. I'll just say this, because by the time we do review that next segment of episodes, they may reveal who is behind this. I'm going to throw a name in the hat, and I'll say Bastion could potentially be a ringer for this. Bastion or Nimrod. I would say either one of those two. But we'll see. And again, highly recommend you guys check out the show if you haven't done so already.
Yeah, there was a rumor going around that it was Cassandra Nova, but the creator basically shut that down. And he's actually talking now. I don't know if you've seen, he's been talking about the show and everything. And he was like, if y'all think episode 5 is crazy, you ain't seen nothing.
Holy shit.
So I'm like, I'm sorry, what? There's like a petition now to get this dude rehired.
Oh, hell yeah.
So unless he like diddled a kid or something, I'm going to need Disney to rehire him. I don't care if he's difficult to work with.
And if he did diddle a kid, what'd that kid do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I want to go that far. I don't know. I don't think we need X-Men 97 that bad. But,
okay.
But maybe
you're right.
they otherwise should rehire him because, damn it, man, like. If y'all fired him because he was difficult to work with, yeah, he probably was difficult to work with.
Because they probably kept presenting stupid ass ideas.
They were probably like, well, what if Rogue decides that she doesn't want to be with either of them and like hooks up with Jubilee, and it's like, nah, bruh.
He's like, she's 17, yeah, but she's gonna turn 18 in the show.
Yeah, she won't always be 17. Get the fuck out of my office. With that shit.
Holy shit.
With that Obi-Wan X Madam Web logic. Or, I'm sorry, Ezekiel Sims, technically.
Yeah,
she didn't say that shit.
Yeah, he did say that. God damn. Oh shit.
But yeah, I will say, in my personal opinion, I gotta agree that I think episode 5 of X-Men 97, which I believe they've already renewed for 2 more seasons now.
Yeah.
I think it is probably better than every X-Men movie. And I say that with certainty. If there's one that it's not better than, it's Days of Future Past. Future Past. I've actually been watching through all of them, the entire whatever fucking order the timeline is in. I just watched them in release order.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because it's hard to Star Wars, the X-Men movies.
Yeah, you really can't. So... we know that First Class is at the beginning, and that's about fucking it. Well,
it depends on because once you throw the Wolverine movies in there,
yeah, because Origins technically would be even before that.
Yeah,
them motherfuckers is in like the 1800s,
right?
Well, and then if you want to go technically the beginning of Apocalypse is like,
oh yeah, because he's back in ancient Egypt.
Yeah, so it's very confusing. I just said fuck it. I've just been watching them in the release order. Yeah. So the cartoon has left me so thirsty for X-Men.
Oh my gosh.
I've been watching through all the movies, but I will tell you, the one thing that just absolutely fucks up all of it for me is when the credits roll at the beginning and it's whatever soundtrack, music, whatever they came up with.
Yeah.
And it's not the real theme.
Yeah. Yeah. So they started with the real theme though. And
in the 2000 X-Men?
Oh, you talking about in the movies?
Yeah, I'm talking about in the movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah, every time I watch one of the movies, I'm just like, why?
Yeah. And I wouldn't have minded if they stuck with one. They had one that was pretty good, in the first X-Men movie, dun, 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 something like that. It was fanfare, but it was serviceable.
It's fine if you haven't been listening to the animated series opening.
Yeah.
Which is just it just personifies them. It's so ingrained in what several generations associate with the X-Men, and now it'll be even more.
Oh yeah. How do you feel about a Spider-Man reboot?
For the animated series?
Yeah.
I mean, assuming he isn't going to show up in 97?
I mean, hell, he could.
Totally could.
He absolutely could.
He was in the original animated series.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be all for it. The voice, they'd have to get a damn good voice actor to play him. Or just get Tom, whatever. Whatever they want to do.
See, no, because, they can't have Tom's voice come out of that Peter Parker's body.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
They should just fuck it. Just get Walton Goggins. He's killing it right now.
He is. Yeah, I mean, he's a busy man. Amazon is keeping him paid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, right now, man, I've been on this bandwagon for a long time. But, right now, with Invincible being on and the Fallout show, have you watched any of that?
Not yet.
So, I mean, he's my favorite character in both shows.
Oh, hell yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah, I need to get on Fallout. We are going to get started with this Invincible episode, I promise.
We promise, yeah. We're 24 minutes here. We barely talked about it.
But have you heard about the next gen update for Fallout 4?
I have, yeah. It kind of makes me want to install a bunch of mods and stuff and play it, but I know the update's going to break them all, so I'm probably going to wait till they fix all the mods.
Yeah.
I have a very interesting relationship with Fallout 4, right? Because, I have over 200 hours in it, but I don't love it. You know,
I understand.
But I feel like if your first exposure to Fallout is the show, and then you leave the show and go and play 4, then I don't think that's a terrible experience.
Yeah.
If you played 3 though, or even New Vegas,
yeah,
then you very quickly will recognize 4 for what it is, which, you know, and it might take you 25 hours, but eventually you'll hit a point where you go, this is a soulless, empty game.
Yeah, for my money, I think that it does have the best combat feel to me.
Yeah. There's several places I think that they leap ahead from Fallout 3, but I think for every place they do that, in 2 areas they regress.
Yeah, and I think I agree with that. Like, one thing, I could do without the, what do you call it, that mechanic where you just build settlements.
Yeah.
I can do without that.
It was half-baked.
It was half-baked. Like, if they had actually fully committed to it, to doing something really cool and unique with it, maybe. But it also, it never ends. You know? Like, it never fucking ends. I mean, like, so I found myself playing the game just to see where I could take my ridiculous character to.
Right.
You know? And this isn't just a slam to Fallout 4. I mean, for me personally, this kind of goes for Bethesda as a whole, but, like, I'm not playing it for the story.
Right.
You know? But that's especially true with Fallout 4.
Yeah, the main story in 4 is really awful. As a matter of fact, I think Fallout 3 has the best main quest of any Bethesda game.
I wasn't mad at New Vegas, actually. I guess because it felt so unique.
Well, they didn't make it.
Yeah, that's true.
Our good friends at Obsidian made that one, which is probably why it is so beloved.
Yeah, for sure. So now that we've talked about X-Men 97 and Fallout
and everything
else,
Invincible.
We can now talk about Invincible. So
full spoilers ahead.
Full tilt spoilers ahead. So if you guys have not seen all of Invincible season 2, that's your ass. You've been warned.
Yeah. So if you stay here, you done fucked up, AA Ron.
Yeah, you don't fucked all the way up, dog.
All the way up. And so we are covering season 2, part 2, which is episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8.
That is correct.
If Amazon wants to stealth drop another 8 episodes tomorrow, I would not be mad at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll begrudgingly watch.
Yeah,
you know.
Man, when you look at the cast for this, I mean, every time you look at it, it's, there's just another level to just how incredible the cast is. I mean, it's got to have the best, famous voice cast of any animated show.
It is star-studded.
There's no telling how much money does this fucking show cost? You know,
that is a great question. I mean,
for Amazon to invest this heavily, in such an IP, let's talk about that. It's got to be because Robert Kirkman, right? Mm-hmm. And his success with Walking Dead.
Yeah. Fucking Robert Kirkman, man, that guy's got to be. Oh, I know he's rolling in it, but think about it. He didn't have not just one comic book that blew all the way the fuck up. He had 2 that he owns, because he made them at Image, and Image is a creator-owned company, and so this motherfucker had not 1 but 2 home runs. I mean, that is just fucking amazing for him.
Yeah, I mean, love or hate the Walking Dead show, and I'm on the hate bandwagon for the record. Mainly just because. So is Invincible over? Is it still being written, or is it done?
It's done. Yep.
So for me with Kirkman, a while back, he basically said with Walking Dead, he had no intent of ever trying to kind of bring the whole virus story to a full circle, that it basically is not about that, and it's just the backdrop for this zombie character drama. Right. And maybe if I read the comics, I would enjoy it a bit, but what they have done with the television shows, I have no interest in that shit. It just feels circular, and it's just the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Lowest common denominator bullshit. Where with this, it feels so fresh and like just every time you take a step back from it and you're like, what the fuck are they doing? You know, within a few episodes, they're like, yeah, motherfucker, you didn't see this coming.
Right.
We had our shit together the whole time.
Yeah. And, I mean, so I'll go ahead and say this, man. I think that season 2 as a whole is another phenomenal season. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't say I enjoyed it as much as season 1.
Yeah.
But honestly, for where they're at in the story, I can't picture them ending this season on the same kind of high that season 1 ends on, you know?
I mean, season 1 is just such a good arc, right? I mean, you start out with the Guardians of the Globe. We go to that incredible sequence at the end of episode 1 with Nolan just obliterating them. We get introduced to all these different stories, you know, with Robot and with the twins and, you know, Mark and his, like, struggles with, you know, a fresh twist on something that's very tropey when it comes to superhero stuff. This whole idea of, you know, his personal life versus his superhero identity.
Yep.
And I've always loved the way that this show has handled that. You know, we got introduced to an incredible cast of characters that all have interesting abilities that we feel like we haven't seen before, or, you know, the character struggle is different than we've seen before. I think Monster Girl is a great example of that.
Yeah.
You know, like her power is such an interesting thing to play with,
right.
You know, just from a storyline standpoint. So, yeah, I mean, it's really hard to take season 1 with what I'll call the Nolan arc. And then in season 2, they have the job of following that up and also giving you a little bit. So, like, season 2 had to feel like a whole arc. And then they also had to give us a bunch of breadcrumbs into the overarching narrative.
Yeah.
And I feel like they did a very good job at both of those. Even if it's not better than season 1, it's I think they still knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, and I agree, you know. A lot of it has to do with the fact that even in the comic books, like, there is a noticeable, purposeful come down after the Nolan stuff. You know,
right.
So after he leaves Earth, Kirkman, you know, he knows to slow down at this point.
Right.
And he's got to let the moment breathe, and he's got to let the characters breathe and develop. And that's when we get the stuff with Debbie and seeing how she is coping or not coping. You know, we get the stuff with Mark and seeing how he's struggling. You know, we get that surprise at the in one of the episodes early on in season 2 where, you know, Science Dog, his favorite comic book character, comes to visit him. And he's like, what the fuck? You know?
Yeah. That was such a weird.
Right. Yeah,
but awesome. I mean, this show does such a good job with weird.
It does, right?
It's always their wheelhouse. You brought up Debbie, and let me just say, in any other medium, Debbie is a throwaway character.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck if it's your favorite Marvel comic book, your favorite DC book. She's a fucking throwaway character.
She's a non-entity. Yeah.
I do not give this accolade out with any sort of lightheartedness and I definitely don't give it away often. But the man has pulled a Brandon Sanderson with this character. Kirkman is probably the only other writer that I think would handle this character this well.
I mean, he's done such a great job with this character, right? Because, and is it Sandra Oh who voices her? Yeah, Sandra Oh. I mean, and she's also killing it.
Yeah,
in this role. And the thing about Debbie, right, is, and thankfully Kirkman thought about this, but how was she supposed to feel in this scenario? You know,
right?
And you know, Kirkman, you know, to his credit, he does a great job with this in the comic books, but the TV show, at this point, I think I can say, I may have to go back and read some things, but I think for what it's worth, I think that the TV show is actually better paced than the comics, and I think that he actually gives even more time for the Debbie, or the showrunners give the Debbie even more time to breathe and develop after the whole Nolan thing, because I mean, yeah, that'd be fucking beyond traumatic, you know?
Right.
And so just the fact that we get more from her POV is great, you know? Like there's this whole scene, I think it's in episode 5, where it's that episode where she goes to like it's a like a trauma meeting of sorts.
Yeah.
And like that wasn't, to my knowledge, I don't remember that in the comics, you know? And then like she meets the guy who, what was his wife or someone was killed by Omni Man, and it's like, oh shit, you know. And then she tries to you know be forthcoming with the guy, and it does not work out.
You shouldn't come back here.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, she has no one to talk to. Like her son is trying to balance college and being a superhero and dealing with his own trauma, you know.
Yeah.
And so like Mark wants to be there for his mom, but it's so fucking hard for him.
Yeah.
And Debbie's really struggling. You know?
Yeah. I mean, she's she's kind of at her wit's end here. Mm-hmm. The only really person she's got to talk to is the dude at work that's trying to fuck her.
Right.
Which that was very clear, like when they first showed him.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
He's trying to get that like grief lay.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Which, I mean, you know, I ain't mad at him.
I ain't mad.
Shoot your shot, bro.
But
you know?
you're gonna have to deal with that post nut cry, because she gonna cry after that nut.
Right. Yeah. She also has been fucking Omni Man for 20 years.
Yeah. So she might cry for the reason that you not think. She might cry because like, I don't feel a thing anymore.
Yeah. You really gonna have to bring it, dog.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Yeah. Your tongue ain't gonna have to be on point.
On point.
But you know, if more power to you. You know, if you think you can climb that mountain, you know, I'm not against ambition.
Right.
You know, I go for it.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably pass a Rooney myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, her arc is really incredible, and I think like we're so invested in her as a character, and just in over these 4 episodes, she has such a great arc because she's recovering from the Nolan, you know, trauma, and then, you know, Mark shows back up, which she's elated for, but he actually shows up with like another Nolan kid,
right,
bug kid that he's done had on this planet, and we get to see her go from like, no, you can't fucking have that thing in here, to like being like a protector of this child, you know, because, you know, it's not his fault. He's just another victim, you know, in a long cycle of Nolan bullshit.
Right.
So, you know, I thought that her arc just over these 4 episodes was really incredible. And like I said, in pretty much any other medium, she is not given this level of character development.
No, I agree. But thankfully here she has a lot of time to breathe and develop and grieve, you know. So speaking of Nolan, man, let me ask you this, because like I know you haven't read the comics, so you know, we won't do like any super spoilerific shit here. Do you think that there is any type of true redemption for Nolan? Can he come back from what he did?
I think that the show obviously like makes you feel a little sorry for him to an extent. Like, the other Viltrumites are just worse to us, right? Like, we have no connection to them whatsoever. So when we see them, you know, beating the shit out of Nolan or threatening to execute him or whatever, at this point in time, Nolan will at least protect Mark.
Yeah.
And so we want to root for that.
Mm-hmm. And we also know that he will try to protect even the people on the bug planet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and so like seeing him as like that protector, you do know, like, we do see that Nolan has some sort of morality in there, and that he has come around a little bit. Could he ever be redeemed for what he did on Earth? No.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even want Mark to forgive him. That's some toxic shit.
Yeah.
But would I be okay with like him kind of being exiled, like with like maybe him helping them beat the Viltrum Empire, and then he's kind of like exiled after that, and like, you know, maybe like Mark goes out in space and visits him every now and then. I could live with that kind of ending for him.
Yeah.
So, but like, you know, him coming back to Earth, nah. Nah.
Right.
Nah, Cecil ain't about to have that shit.
Yeah, dog. Like, I mean, the comparison cannot be made enough. Like, Cecil is this universe's Nick Fury. And I'll be damned if Cecil's going to be like, yeah, sure, come on. Matter of fact, just stand right here, Nolan. Yeah, there'll be some...
When he finds out about all those, like, devices and shit in the books, you know he's going to send people out for those.
Oh, yeah.
Probably Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's going to be interesting. I cannot wait for this show to continue on, because there's villains and allies that pop up in the most unexpected places from the most unexpected people. And the show, like, and don't get me wrong, like, it never catches up to or tops like the Nolan twist, but there's some shit that happens that just has you have you really like, what the fuck, like, how, you know?
I mean, shit, man, with episode 5, I mean, we got right into this whole you know, them battling the hive mind.
Yeah,
and then
the
like
Rex
and Kate and all of them in that crazy ass fight with
the Serpent Society.
And like, we had kind of wrote those guys off as like the little, you know, fuck boy, like, you know, Bulk and Skull enemies. And then here they are murdering Guardians.
Right.
Straight up. Brutally.
Yeah.
The duplicate thing was such a roller coaster.
Oh, it was, right? Yeah. Super fucking roller coaster on that one.
And like, I guess with her, you always kind of have an out, right? Like, oh, that wasn't the last one. I mean, if I was her, honestly, I would probably like, I don't know if her power would work this way, but like, I would just like make 2 or 3 and have Cecil like fucking put them in like cryostasis or whatever.
Oh yeah,
in like various places, and like if my other ones get killed, just wake that one up.
Yeah,
you know?
That would be smart as hell.
Yeah.
And Cecil would definitely be down for that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, and shit, maybe he already has, and she don't even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Make me a clone real quick, and then he just hits her with like the Men in Black shit.
Right. So let's kind of segue here really quick. Let's talk about Donald. He gets a lot in this that he does not get in the comics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. I really loved his arc here.
Yeah. I thought it was really good. They played into the guy who got tortured and experimented on by D.A. Sinclair.
Yeah. Formerly Ezra Miller.
Formerly Ezra Miller. So wait, Ezra Miller, he was D.A. Sinclair in season 1, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that kind of it makes so much sense.
It does.
Yeah, so Donald's arc here, like him discovering that he fucking died, you know, in the battle with Nolan. And then Cecil eventually being like, you know what, fuck it. Have a seat. And showing Donald like all of those, like all of the deaths he had. I think he said it was 38, something like that.
And like he had the big file. It kind of reminded me of like the Morty's Mind Blowers a little bit, you know. That's kind of a deep cut if you haven't watched Rick and Morty, but yeah, I mean that when he's going through those files and everything, man, and honestly, like at first he's pissed,
yeah,
as you would be, but also you probably don't want to remember any of that shit,
right? Yeah, I mean. And so we're gonna see now, like if Donald's in a place where like he can kind of progress from here, but I mean that would just break a lot of people, you know. And you have to wonder like how much you know. You look at some of those times he died, and it's like, Cecil recovered what he could. I'm like, what did he recover?
yeah, like the house explosion with fucking Omni-Man. Like, what did he recover?
Right. And that wasn't the first time. That was like the latest time.
The most recent time that we know of.
Right.
Oh man, I wonder if they just like keep upgrading them, and eventually he like fights with the Guardians and shit.
That's a good question. Yeah.
I wonder if like Cecil has like some kind of like death bot protocol where like if like he gets compromised, he can like turn Donald into like a murder bot, like an Order 66 type deal.
But with Donald, Army of Donalds. I also love how in the TV show Donald looks like Bobby Hill.
He
like
does, grown up Bobby Hill.
Yeah. So episode 5 is called "This Must Come as a Shock," and that is a great, aptly named episode title.
Yeah, both meta for us as we watch several of the Guardians get fucking brutally killed.
Yeah.
Or so we thought. They still got fucked up real bad. Either way. But then also, in the episode too, referring to like Debbie's kind of reaction to having not one but two traumatized Nolan children.
Yeah.
Oh, also, half-breeds that the Viltrumites will either want to use or exterminate, or both.
Right. So, yeah, we have little Ollie now. Oliver, he's in the picture, and that does come as a shock, especially to Debbie. And so she's got, like we mentioned earlier, she's come around now, and she's taking in this little kid and kind of raising him as her own.
I like the interviews for the nannies or whatever. Right. It almost kind of had like some Miss Doubtfire vibes to it. A little bit. And I like the one was just like, listen, Cecil sent me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But listen, I can do this, and this. And like, she's the one they kind of end up going with or whatever. And I liked her. So.
Yeah. And you know what, to be honest, I know it sucks, but I would kind of want the babysitter to be sent from Cecil.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, as much as they like don't like him or whatever, I fucking love Cecil, man. Right. He is my favorite by far. Like, Walton Goggins is just so perfect as him.
Yeah, he's killing it.
If I ever get around to reading those, I'm going to read Cecil in his voice.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. and they're definitely worth the read. I was talking to Kevin about this, and it was like you can definitely see like the vast overlap, right, between the TV show and the comics, but they're also so different enough that they're their own unique experience.
So you don't have to worry about like spoiling the show necessarily.
Yeah, because like things happen in different stages of the show than they would in the comics, you know? And so like it really keeps me on my toes, and I read the whole series. And so I think it's dope. So let's talk about the Sequid fights. I feel like there were like 2 battles that happened in this episode, and both of them were greatly underestimated, right? So like,
and they layered them on top of each other.
They did,
and like both of them just kept going worse and worse.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, the Sequid invasion in the comics, to me, it felt a little undercooked. I think it was done better here, and it's like, don't get me wrong, in the comics, like the Guardians and Mark and them, they were all still in danger, but the dire circumstances of the TV show just hyped it up that much more, So I thought it was handled really well here, and it was all basically, for a shapeshifter,
Yeah.
Their quirky version of like Martian Manhunter meets Plastic Man or some shit.
I love that whole scene where he's like, where they like just interrupt his story and they're like, so what happened to the actual astronaut? Yeah. And he's like, wow. And I love how Cecil like is just like, yeah, we know you're a fucking Martian. Get on with it.
Right. Like, for real, I think that we could have pieced together like that motherfucker. He ain't right.
Well, they showed. Was it in the first 4 episodes?
We see very early on that he is. Yeah. But I guess it meant like if he were like existed in real life, I'd be like, I think that guy's a fucking alien.
Yeah, like Zuckerberg.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah, remember when he did like that? What was like some kind of Zoom interview, and there was like a bottle of barbecue sauce on a bookshelf behind him. Like the fuck?
He's like, the humans like this. I'll put it here.
Yeah, like you ain't wrong, but.
It was nice to see Adam Eve back in the action here too.
Yeah.
Gillian Jacobs kills it as this character.
Agreed. Agreed. And like it's such a pivotal character who like I mean she only grows as the show goes on,
Yeah.
And she's doing a great job.
I love that the show has started to lean towards the whole like her and Mark love angle because as much as like we want more of Zazie Beetz, like we knew that shit wasn't going to work out.
Yeah, and we knew that shit wasn't going to work. And they had to find a way to get us there, and I think they did a good job with finally starting to take steps towards getting us there.
Right.
So let me ask you this about episode 5. Then we move on and talk a little bit about episode 6. There were people who took issue with some things in episode 5, mostly concerning the fight with the Serpent Society and how like, oh man, everyone died. The show has stakes, but not really because everyone lived. Do you have any fault with that, or are you fine with that?
I'm okay with it. Just I think in any other show I wouldn't be all right with it. But this show has shown us how much it is willing to push the envelope, and it will kill people even if you think that like they should have plot armor, right?
Right.
I think maybe the reason for the complaints is we got it with what's his name, Alan the Alien.
Yeah.
We kind of got it with him at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And his death was just fucking fucking gnarly.
Yeah, yeah. He had to watch them beat his ass. And then fucking Optimus Prime or whatever we cut his like life support off, or so we thought.
Well, for who?
For him, like when they put him in the chamber or whatever. Yeah. The guy's voiced by
by Peter
Cullen. Yeah. I don't know what the actual. He's just Optimus Prime. We've never seen this before.
Fucking hell!
It's like you say that every time, man.
Right.
At some point, we have to stop being surprised by this.
I think that I wasn't really upset with it in this show here. It was very shocking and raw, like just the sheer brutality of it all. So it's not like everyone walked away from it unscathed. They're all fucked up.
I'd be fine with Rex having died.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like, minor spoiler alert, but Rex Blode dies fairly early on in the comics, and that's why I'm always surprised when he shows up and he's still alive.
And he got shot in the head.
He got shot in the head. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, we finally did it. Motherfucker, he's still here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that mad if he got killed. I think though that like I mean you got to balance it with like the fact that like literally the entire Guardians team just about got killed in the first episode.
Right.
And how many deaths we've seen.
Yeah.
I thought at one point during this that Amber was about to get got. I was like, because, all Mark needs is some more trauma.
Right.
He didn't have enough of that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wasn't too upset about it, but I do agree, like, this is something that they can't do repeatedly,
Right.
So I wouldn't really run back to this well. And the thing with Alan the Alien is he does kind of have, like, the whole Saiyan genetic thing, where like he gets his ass beat, but he heals and comes back stronger, So
they gotta stop letting Seth Rogen get voice acting gigs. So
you don't like his voice as Alan the Alien?
I don't like any Seth Rogen voice acting. It is especially atrocious as Donkey Kong.
I've not heard this Donkey Kong.
Oh, you haven't seen the Mario movie?
I haven't. No.
Oh well, he just sounds like Seth Rogen. So if you never pictured Donkey Kong sounding like Seth Rogen, it's just he doesn't do voice acting. He just is himself. You know. Just, I don't know. I don't love it. It bothers me less for Alan the Alien.
Yeah, I kind of like his Alan the Alien. I think it suits.
I think if I take issue with anything, because like it's hard to find stuff I don't like about this. Mm-hmm. You know, especially this little block of episodes, which I thought was tremendous. I mean, honestly, it's hard to find fault with really any of it, right? It's probably Angstrom Levy is my probably biggest complaint about season 2. Mm-hmm. In the beginning of season 1, we kind of got this elaborate kind of intro to his character. Yeah. And you kind of feel like maybe he's going to be like a season 2 like villain arc. Mm-hmm. But he literally doesn't show up at all. Yeah. For the entire season until the end of episode 7. And then we get a kind of episode 8 centric, you know, kind of story on him. And honestly, like, he serves as great character growth for Mark.
Yeah. That's what he is.
And really for probably Oliver and Debbie too. Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask you is like on the pages, does he have a more considerable presence?
I'm glad you asked. No.
Okay, so it's exactly like that in the comics then.
Yeah, I mean it's damn near, you know, the same.
I see. Yeah.
Actually, it's very much panel for panel, you know. But I'll say this, right? Like it's like a picture sing song. Oh yeah, the scene with the dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's like almost. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There is one interesting difference that I want to show you, and this difference is definitely done for copyright issues, and it's this panel. The Spider-Man panel. Yeah. You just see like a Spider-Man hand, and then a dude who may or may not have octopus tentacles.
Bro, in the show they didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, they went all the way there on the show.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos was like, "Well, if they sue us, we'll just pay them."
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
The Batman panel is pretty much the same though.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
So, yeah.
And your name is what? Yeah. Don't you think that's kind of lazy?
Right.
Fucking I all the meta shit in that episode was tremendous.
Yes. But that was my complaint about Angstrom Levy in the comic books as well though. And you know, I guess it's because by the time we get to like the big Angstrom Levy arc in the comics, if you're reading it in like the hardcover volumes, things hit the fan in volume 3. And I think we first see him in like late volume 1, early volume 2. And so like there's kind of a pretty beefy build up to him. And then like you really only see him when he's like planning or scheming, kind of like in the show. You know, you see like a scene of him working on like a machine or planning his revenge on Mark, or you'll see, you know, like why he's so angry at Mark, right? You know, and all his different variations. But when it comes down to like the big duel, you know, we'll get there in episode 8. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I just he's an interesting character, and it's like you kind of want him to have more. Yeah, but you can't have it. You can't have it both ways, right? Like the show can't keep up the breakneck pacing all the time. Yeah, and then also let every fucking villain that shows up have, you know, a season arc. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, and that is true, right? Because like every threat can't be Nolan,
right? You know? Yeah, like the fucking giant fucking Dragon Zord monster that they fight in this. You know, whatever. Right. Okay, well,
I'm pretty sure there was a Thanos ripoff they fought in one of these episodes. Yeah, yeah. Episode 6 is titled "It's Not That Simple," and this was really like a come down from episode 5. Right. This is the episode where like we see that it looks like the Guardians, they're fucked up, but they're mostly still alive, and this is also really where we get to see like a more of a fray happening in Mark and Amber's relationship, and they're trying, man, but it's just hard for them to kind of get on the same page.
And it does seem like this is the right time for this to happen, because it's like, I mean, you know, obviously, like at first she's like a very caring girlfriend or whatever. She's just like, you know, I guess it comes to the territory. I knew what I was getting into, but like at this point, it's just like he's gone for months at a time. Right. Anytime they try to do fucking anything, the shit hits the fan hard.
Every time.
Like, you know, and it's just, you know, and then I think that when, you know, later on, you know, we see the whole Viltrumite deal happen, it's like, that's when she's just like, oh, for me to remain in this relationship, my life is going to be in danger from all kinds of shit forever.
Yeah. It was on the season 2 part 1 review. I was talking with Kevin, and I said, there's got to be a universe in the Dragon Ball mythos where like we get this exact same story, but like with Trunks and Vegeta. Like because it's like the parallels are there.
Yeah,
and the odds of Vegeta just snapping and be like, you know what, fuck this shit. It's also that like the odds aren't zero. And it's like in the universe where like Goku is dead. And Vegeta's like, you know what, I'm the Prince of all Saiyans, bitch. And I gotta do it.
There is no universe where Vegeta calls Bulma his pet and survives, though. Because that bitch will invent something to kill him.
That's true. Yeah.
She's going to send Trunks back in time to kill you as a baby or whatever. We already know it won't affect this universe.
Right. She just out of spite.
Yeah.
Episode 6 was I thought was a good kind of a come down episode. And so I'll say this about Amber. In the comics, the issue I had with Amber was she was a non-entity. Like she was just Mark's girlfriend,
Yeah.
And the problem I had with her in the TV show, in season 1, she was annoying as fuck.
Yeah, she was.
In season 2, she feel like an actual person.
Right.
And much more relatable and calm and understandable. But you kind of know that things aren't going to end well with them. Now, the severity of how that ends, it varies. And there's more on that with episode 7.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is really where we get to see Debbie begin to bond with Oliver. There's not really much talk about Oliver right now, but what do you think about the concept of Oliver as a character?
I thought it was really cool, actually. Yeah.
This little blueberry baby,
and the fact that they don't have the Grogu problem where he's going to be an infant forever,
right?
They very smartly did it the opposite way, where they can kind of control how he ages, and it can be considerably faster.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what his fighting capability is.
Mm-hmm.
Because he ages faster, is he going to be able to advance and get up to Mark's level and maybe eventually Nolan's level faster than he would normally? So
right.
I'm very intrigued in how his character arc will go. Or this show, he could just be captured by the Viltrumites and murdered. So, it could go either way.
Or both.
Oh, yeah, both. Yeah, both is good. This episode, too, they cliffhangered us at the end of episode 5 with the Sequid fight. Because we actually don't get to see the conclusion until this episode. Yeah. And I was worried about that shit.
Oh, yeah. Because, that shit was intense, bro. Those fucking Sequids were ready.
Oh, yeah.
And Robot was having a real fucking hard time dealing with that device he needed to make to kind of disable them. But they got the fuck out of there, though, as soon as they did.
I mean, they were originally they weren't going to bring Robot.
Right.
They would have fucked all the way up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22, right? Because if Robot had stayed on Earth, he probably, the rest of the Guardians probably wouldn't have got so fucked up with the Serpent Society.
Yeah, true.
If he were there. But the team in outer space.
Everybody but Mark.
Yeah, everyone but Mark and
Immortal.
Yeah. Well, hell, maybe Immortal would have gotten taken over. Who knows?
Oh, was he susceptible to it? I thought he wasn't.
Was he not?
I didn't think they could get him.
I mean, I believe that Abraham Lincoln is unsusceptible to shit. Yeah, that checks out for me.
Abraham Lincoln is my Patronus, so it works out. And no, I will not be taking any questions.
Well, all right then. I won't press you on that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Was there anything else really notable that happened in episode 6?
Walton Goggins killed it.
Oh, did he? Did he? Oh, wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that definitely happened, and we kind of got to see some of the aftermath of
right,
and how
we get to see the rest of the Guardians team in like the fucking ICU.
Yeah, and how that affected Amber as well.
Yeah, we get to see. Do we also see Duplicate's funeral in this episode?
Yeah,
yeah,
and that shit was fucking with Immortal real hard.
Oh yeah, he was fucked up from that. Super fucked up.
So it's jumping ahead a little bit, but do you think that they're gonna like write them out? They're gonna get a happily ever after off screen?
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because that seems to be their plan at the moment.
Yeah. I think that they can definitely, settle down and, start a family, but, superhero life tends to draw people back in.
Yeah, when the Viltrumites invade the planet, it's all hands on deck.
Yeah.
That shit's coming, dog.
Yeah.
They've made it very clear that they coming.
Right, yeah. And right now, like, your strongest Viltrumite, your strongest hero ain't shit compared to them.
Yeah, he's getting his ass whooped by, like, basic bitch Joker henchman Viltrumites.
Episode 7, I'm Not Going Anywhere. This was a great episode, I thought. This episode is the one that starts off with Mark and Amber at the convention.
Yeah. So meta. Yes. I loved it a lot.
Yes.
So if I'm going to compare Mark Grayson to any existing character, it's probably Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. There's clear inspiration there.
Yeah.
And he feels the most like Peter Parker he's ever felt in this episode.
Yeah.
Because this is all some shit that would happen to him.
Right. It is, right? Because he gets to be a nerd for a bit.
Yeah.
And like enjoy his nerd hobbies.
Oh, I just get to take my girlfriend to Comic-Con.
Right,
fuck yeah. And then some fucking villain shows up.
Right. Yeah, he can't. Yeah, he has to leave his girl there at the con. Yeah. He has to go deal with that problem.
Yeah.
It is a very Spider-Man-esque thing to deal with,
Yeah.
But I do love the flip they did on this. You mentioned earlier how like it was a very meta concept they played with about like he was talking with the creator of his favorite comic. Favorite comic, yeah. And he was like, the thing about animation is like they can get really lazy with animating styles, and they'll just show like a static shot of a crowd, for example, or you don't even see the character's mouth sometimes, so they have to draw less panels, and then you
gets back to him. He's got the book. Yeah. It was all hilarious, so well done.
That idea originally came from Robert Kirkman just fucking with the readers because he did the same thing in the comics when Mark goes to the convention, and but they flip it where like it's about comic book artists being lazy instead of animators, and so like it's kind of the same concept. Like a lot of times, I wish I would have found it earlier. I would have showed it to you, but in the comics, the Robert Kirkman character is like there's a lot of times where comic creators they'll just draw the same panels to take up space, and then it shows Mark like thinking about it, and then it shows him again thinking about it. He's like, oh, that's interesting. And it's like a lot of times you don't see like, you won't even see their mouths move. So like it's just easy to draw. And then they do that whole bit. Yeah, it's great. I love the fact that they just put that fucking meta tidbit in there.
It was so meta in such a good way, where it's not gonna go over most people's heads.
Right.
And it was very clever.
Yeah.
The show is damn near just being like, we can do whatever the fuck we want.
Oh, yeah.
We're just going to fuck around now, and it's still great.
Yeah, and it's still fucking great. This is also the episode where we see Mark and Amber, they try to make time for each other, and they go on this nice romantic date. And wouldn't you know it, a Viltrumite shows up.
Yeah.
Anissa.
And she is a badass.
She is 100% a badass.
So is she stronger than Nolan, you would say?
That's tough, right? I think they're probably Pre-broken back Nolan, I think they're probably pretty even.
Yeah, right. Yeah, before he got his ass whooped.
Yeah. Yeah, before he got his ass whooped, I think that they're probably pretty even. And Cecil says something interesting. He goes like, Mark, there's like an 18% chance you can beat this bitch. I'm like, 18%? Dog, I can't even leave the house if my phone is on 18%.
Yeah,
You know?
I feel like I feel like their calculations might have overestimated Mark a bit. But one of the things that we saw all the way back in episode 4, though, is like part of Mark's issue is not his strength, because like he's actually incredibly capable, and this gets played into more in episode 8 too. It's that, you know, he is not trying to kill them. Like he is not fighting. He's fighting, you know, because he wants to be a superhero.
Right.
He's not fighting with the malice and the ill intent that a Viltrumite fights with.
Yeah.
And in the brief moments that we see him do it, he was whipping some ass, you know.
Yeah, he was, right? I still think that she was vastly holding back because she also was not trying to kill him either.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know.
No. I mean, I don't think he could have gone toe to toe with her, but I think that 18% is assuming that like he's trying. You know,
right.
I don't think, you know, I want to be fucking, you know, Superman Mark Grayson had an 18% chance. I think he had like a 1% chance.
Right.
Like he rolls a 20, she rolls a 1. You know,
and you know, I love the scene where like I think it was Donald talking to Cecil or whatever, saying that it's going to be about 20 minutes before the Guardians get there. The fuck are they gonna do?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the Guardians are like 20 minutes out. Okay, tell them to go back to the base.
Right.
They're. Yeah, what are they gonna do?
Right. Yeah. Like. Yeah, that shit was, and I think that's why like Cecil is aware that he needs a better solution for like the impending danger. You know.
Like, I mean, Immortal, if he was in his right mind, could like tank for you for a bit.
Yeah, for a bit. Yeah, I think eventually, like the Viltrumites would be like, let's just dismember him, and then you know.
Yeah, we're just gonna scatter him across the galaxy.
Right.
Yeah. But he can buy you some time.
He can buy you some time for sure. Yeah. That's true because he got his ass whooped by Nolan for a good, good few minutes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
Physically.
Right. There was a small Easter egg that implies that this motherfucker might have been Jesus.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. It was like there was like a grail, like a holy grail of sorts, that was in his home. Like there was a whole bunch of like interesting Easter eggs scattered throughout this motherfucker's log cabin. Yeah. Which of course he lives in a log cabin because he was Abraham Lincoln.
Right, yeah. Of course. Yeah, honestly, man, what's the DC character that he's kind of a rip on?
A little bit on Vandal Savage.
Vandal Savage, yeah. I actually think I like him more than Vandal Savage.
Yeah, I agree.
But, a lot of that could be influenced by, like, how terribly CW did the man.
Yeah. Yeah. Goddamn, C-Tuppy. Guys, I swear, Batwoman really is a dope ass character. Like she is awesome. I have her omnibus, and that shit is baller. All right, it's just that TV show is ass. All right.
Yeah, I feel like they're over at Warner Brothers. Like James Gunn's like, okay, who the fuck hasn't CW ruined for the public eye?
But yeah, so when Mark and Amber, they're on the date, just backing up a little bit, that's when Anissa shows up and she's like, hey, I can fucking kill this bitch before you blink. So come with me or she dies. And then that's when we lead to the whole part where they save a cruise ship together.
I think she actually says she can kill everyone in there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
I think she just said she was going to start with Amber.
That's true.
Yeah.
I can see why that could potentially end a relationship.
Right, yeah. Because it wasn't like real to her until that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like you mentioned the Spider-Man comparison earlier. She was real close to being Gwen Stacy, Yeah. Like real fucking close. And with this show, I wasn't sure if they were going to do it or not.
Right.
But thankfully they do not. She is still alive and still able to go off and be, college kid Amber.
Do you think she continues to be in the story at all?
I think they write her out.
Yeah,
I think so.
Save that Zazie Beetz money.
Yeah. At least save the money on someone. They get to save money on Zazie and also on I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Sterling K. Brown.
Yeah, I love him. I'm
yeah.
huge fan of him, and he did such a great job as Angstrom.
Yeah, he did. I thought he killed it as Angstrom. Or maybe he comes back. I mean, who knows? Like, do we see Angstrom die? We see him.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, he looks like he was
and
mashed potatoes.
And we're fairly certain that he's got every multiverse version of himself. Yeah, basically. So that's the problem with absorbing all your what do they call them in Loki?
Variants.
Your variants.
Yeah. That's true. That is a problem with that. You got the power, but if that shit don't help, it don't help.
That's it's such a cool concept though.
It is. What you think about Mark and Amber's amicable breakup?
It's kind of. This is when Mark goes and talks to the guy that made his dad's suits. What's his name?
Mark Hamill's character.
Yeah, Arthur.
Arthur. Yeah. Art. Yeah.
And I was just going to bring up, Art. I was going to ask if you knew it was Mark Hamill. But, of course, it's always good to have fucking Mark Hamill. Yeah. You never add Mark Hamill to anything and it's worse,
Right.
And, he kind of gives him the whole, attaboy talk, and Mark's just like, nah, I don't think, I don't think it's going to work out this way. But that gives us the really good lead into the books, into the books that Nolan wrote.
Yeah.
And that was just such a great full circle where Nolan was like, read my books or whatever. Right. And I love how that turned out. And I'm really, that may be the thing I'm most excited about in the future is to kind of see how those things play out.
Yeah, how it plays out. 100%. So I like the talk that Mark had with Art because Art is kind of the guy that keeps Mark grounded to a degree. Also, speaking of Art, like you said earlier, he's the guy that makes the costumes for them, right? And the title card for Invincible has been chipping and cracking away, and by the time we get to episode 8, it's broken away to the black Invincible font on the blue background, indicating a Mark's new suit where he gets a predominantly black and blue suit.
Yeah.
So I think we'll probably see that next season, I guess.
Yeah.
Which that'd be cool.
I'm interested in I really hope they can get it out next year though.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, because they greenlit seasons 3 and 4 at the same time.
Yeah.
So hopefully production can be a lot quicker. There's no writer strikes to get in the way, no pandemics to get in the way, So
I was reading the other day, and I think that they are already scheduling people to come in and start recording lines.
Oh hell yeah!
Same thing for part 3 of the Final Fantasy trilogy. They I believe next week they are going to start recording voice lines for part 3.
What are the odds that we get that game on this console generation?
It's actually I think a little bit better because they are really trying to get it out in 2027.
Really?
Yeah. So apparently, not to derail us here, but they actually took a year to make the Yuffie intermission DLC, and that year included them basically building the PS5 version of the game because the intermission was built for the PS5.
Yeah.
So it actually only took them 3 years to make Rebirth.
Oh.
Yeah. So since they're not going to do a DLC for it. They're going straight into the last part, which has got to be called Reunion. It just has to be.
Yeah.
They're already getting started on it now, so odds are that we could get it in 2027.
Damn. Well, that'd be dope as hell if we do.
Right. Yeah, I'd be very excited about that.
Oh yeah.
It'd be the dopest song they ever wrote.
Yeah. That'd also be
in
good.
24.
That'd also be good for Square because that means they still avoid that fucking GTA 6.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, also, there'll be enough PS5s out there.
Yeah.
By then, because they're getting hit with on Rebirth. They're kind of getting hit with the same problems. Like it's actually not selling as well as Remake, but Remake came out in the middle of the pandemic on a console that everyone had.
Yeah.
Whereas there's still not that many PS5s in the wild, but I think when they bring it to PC, it'll probably sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, I think so. I think between that and between maybe some people just waiting for the entire trilogy to be out,
Yeah,
I think it'll definitely clean up.
I mean, they're also they got that digital pack that has both games in it. I'm sure they sold a bunch of those.
Hell, I bought that, and I had like the PS4 version.
Yeah.
So, hell, yeah, I still gotta fucking beat Remake.
Yeah, you do.
Gotta find fucking time to beat.
We gotta review.
I know.
Rebirth.
Yeah. I'm just gonna find some time to just fucking blaze through that shit. Fun game though.
Just read Mistborn while you play Remake.
That's easy enough task. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I don't know why the fuck I didn't think of that.
You know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, shit. That's all I got to do. Oh,
yeah,
man,
that's it'll be fine.
Oh yeah, I know what's gonna happen in Final Fantasy. I thought you were talking about Mistborn. I was like, no, I don't.
No, I'm talking about Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
you know what's gonna happen.
Oh shit. Well, let's talk about what we do know is gonna happen in Invincible episode 8.
That's right. This finale.
Yes. So I knew exactly what was gonna happen in this episode as soon as I saw the title of it. I thought you were stronger.
Yeah.
Because I distinctly remember that shit.
Oh, I bet.
Comics, yeah.
Like it's such an epic scene. Like,
yeah.
Angstrom showing up at the very tail end, like a cliffhanger for episode 7. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, some shit's finally gonna happen. And when he just kind of showed up at his house and kind of did the hostage scenario thing, I was like, man, this is gonna be lame. But it was not.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Mark, he's so emotionally driven. He didn't have an answer for what Angstrom's plan was.
Right.
And the only reason he caught Angstrom was because Angstrom is also very emotional.
Yeah.
There are some things in this that they actually turned up a little bit. Like earlier I was showing you some of the panels from the comic books, and we were remarking about how it looks very similar, like the comics to the TV show. Like a lot of that shit was just really taken panel for panel, But some things that were altered were the violence on Debbie. Like she does get her arm snapped by Angstrom in the comics, but in the comics, like her arm breaking looks like a pretty bad compound fracture. But in the TV show, her arm looks like it's been fucking Mortal Kombated.
Oh my god, yeah, that injury was so crazy. I was like,
yeah,
she doesn't need any more trauma, folks.
Right. Yeah. Was a part of you thinking during this scene that maybe Oliver would pull like a little Gohan?
Yeah. I actually was kind of hoping that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully it does not. So.
Yeah. I kind of thought he was gonna, and then they didn't, and I was like, thank you for being reserved on this. And like he was fucking Mark up, man.
Oh yeah.
But the thing about it is, he could have left him in any of those places. Mm-hmm. His fucking ego got the best of him.
Yeah, exactly.
If he just wanted to be rid of him.
Yeah. He could have just left him in fucking dinosaur world, And just nothing Mark could do.
In intelligent dinosaur world.
Where they evolved to speak English, Yeah.
Man, the British Empire really... They just got everywhere.
Did a real number on every society, on every universe. It's funny, right? Because like Angstrom Levy, they pronounced it something different in the TV show, and me and Kevin argued that they're wrong. They call it like Angstrom. What's his last name pronounced in the show?
It's like Levy.
Yeah, Levy. Yeah. And me and Kevin are like, that's wrong.
At least they didn't say Angstrom Levi or some shit like that. That would have been awful.
That would have been bad, yeah. But the thing about Angstrom Levy, like his whole arc is very understandable, Like he comes from like, or at least like the base model that we're accustomed to. He comes from a universe that has been ravaged by Mark.
Right.
Yeah,
and Nolan.
And Nolan, yeah. And as a matter of fact, basically all of the angstroms from all the various universes have been fucked up by Mark.
Yeah.
You know, one of them had his family killed by Mark and Nolan. One of them was a police officer who got fucked by Mark and Nolan. And like, so all of their different, experiences combined into one angstrom levy, giving him the big, well, that didn't give him the big fucked up head, but
Yeah.
Mark technically did that too.
Do you think that this has a different outcome if, like, the machine had just been allowed to work?
I think that it would still lead to. I think it probably still leads to the same place.
Yeah.
Because, Angstrom says that he wants to do it to, maybe protect the different universes or whatever, but he wants revenge.
Yeah.
And
I love that line that Debbie drops on him where she says something like, you showed up in the one universe where my son is the hero and you're the villain.
Yeah.
And, like, that shit rocked him.
It did. Yeah. He didn't know how to comprehend that.
Yeah. He's like, no, your son is a monster. Right. Fucking just that whole thing. Like, that was just such a great line. That shit really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah. And, I think that Debbie is a bigger player in this than what people give her credit for.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't really see Debbie in, like, the other universes with Evil Mark and Evil or Nolan,
Right.
But in this universe, we know that she was always there, still there for Mark, and that she was a very loving, nurturing, and caring mother. And because of that, we get the Mark Grayson we have.
Right.
And this is the only universe that Angstrom Levy's been to where he's found like a good Mark.
Yeah.
and
he wants to kill him.
He wants to kill him. Yeah. Yeah. So, I think really that if Debbie's not here, then we get an unhinged Mark.
Yeah, she's done with his bullshit too. Like,
yeah,
I think Angstrom wants her to be so terrified,
right,
or whatever, and she never really is.
She never gives it to him. Yeah.
It's like, why the fuck would she?
Right.
Yeah. She had Nolan living in her fucking house.
Right. Yeah, and plus she's like, fucking Caesar has cameras in like the cupboards,
Yeah.
So I also think it's interesting. They don't really give a whole lot of talk to this point, but Mark is in these universes longer than what it seems.
Right.
And so, like, it may seem like he's only popping in these universes for a couple seconds or minutes, but because of the time dilation difference, he could be there for hours, maybe longer,
Yeah.
It just seems like he's only there for seconds or minutes.
If you don't understand, go watch Interstellar and then come back and report to us.
You will come back with more questions.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Chris, you can find Chris Nolan on Twitter if you want to ask those. I'm not. I don't have the degrees,
right,
plural, required to explain that shit to you.
And then go watch Tenet.
Yeah,
maybe watch it backwards first. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some of these universes that they get sent to are interesting. There was one that I'm pretty sure was just in the TV show, not in the comic book. It looked almost like Doom.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I definitely was like, this is some Arrakis bullshit.
Right.
Yeah, that they definitely threw that in for timeliness.
Yeah.
You talk about the time dilation. I'd like to think there's just like a week where he like hung out with Batman.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There was actually a spinoff one-shot comic. This is back when Marvel was cool with Invincible and Spider-Man, and so that's pretty cool. It would have been cool to see more of those two hang out together. But they did a lot more with the Spider-Man cameo in this episode. So we see Mark go through one of those portals from Angstrom, and he ends up accidentally tackling, what was his name, Professor Squid Man or something. The professor, I forget the name of Doc Ock in this universe.
Yeah, it was Octopus Man or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, And but instead of it being Spider-Man, it was Agent Spider. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Not very creative.
It was a clever workaround. I was showing you earlier in the comic books, and that there's only one panel of that in the comic, and all you see is like Spider-Man's glove with the,
Yeah.
he's doing like the web slinging hand pose, and you see like a man with tentacles, mechanical tentacles coming from his back, and just enough for you to know who it is without getting hit with like a copyright.
Yeah, obviously they're for the show. They didn't give a fuck.
They didn't give for the show. I think there were enough differences that they could get away with it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I doubt that Sony is gonna sue fucking Amazon over this.
Right.
I mean, if anything, it's just it's not like they're out here marketing a fucking Spider-Man crossover. Like if anything, it's a nod to like how epic their character is.
Oh yeah. And the guy that got to voice Agent Spider voiced Spider-Man in one of, I think, the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah, it was actually that guy.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
It was awesome.
And the thing is, like, the headline actually really got me because, like, one of the headlines I saw was like Spider-Man, Batman cameos, and it's like our sit-down interview with Keaton, whatever. And I'm like, did they get Michael Keaton to voice Batman? But no, the guy that voiced Spider-Man, his last name is Keaton.
Yeah,
these motherfuckers.
Yeah. Right.
And they're clickbait.
Fucking clickbait and shit. But no, they had a cool little cameo here with their Agent Spider. Clearly not Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't know why people get that shit confused.
Just Agent Spider.
Yeah, Agent Spider. Come on. Completely different. But no, eventually Mark and Angstrom do go blow for blow to a degree. And I've seen people compare this to What If season 1. Like punching people through different universes and shit.
Yeah.
And I thought it was still a really cool effect, though, here in this show.
I loved the fight. The ending is tremendous, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that character growth for Mark. And we got to see what he's really capable of.
Yeah.
And that line, man, I thought you were stronger.
Yeah.
That shit was going to sit with me till the end of time.
Oh, yeah. And they knew that line is tough. And it's one of those things where it's like the more you sit and think about it, that's almost Mark looking for a scapegoat saying, I thought you were stronger,
Right.
What he is afraid to admit is that he just lost control.
Yeah.
And because of that, this guy is mashed potatoes,
Yeah. Yeah, he just kept hitting him. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, bruh. It honestly felt like the God of War 3 scene.
Oh, with Zeus and Thor. Zeus and Kratos.
Yeah, man. Oof, where it's just like it starts off like, beat his ass. And then by the end of it, you're just like,
I need to stop tapping square.
You're like,
right. Yeah, like, I don't feel good
Did
more.
he find the one universe where you're a hero?
Yeah.
But what's obviously going to have, that's going to have a lot of weight on Mark, but what's going to have a lot of weight, I think, towards the rest of the show is like the final scene that we get where like the Guardians show up.
Yeah.
And they've been looking for him for like, what do they say, like
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what kind of condition their Earth is in.
Right. Right. And that's the thing, right? Because
they basically pulled some Terminator shit.
That's exactly what they did. They pulled some Terminator shit. But it speaks volumes that they're still alive, because you have to imagine that the Viltrum Empire had to have come to Earth, So the fact that they're still alive, it speaks highly of them. But yeah, we see like Robot Man and Adam Eve. I think maybe Bulletproof was there. And a couple other of the Guardians were there,
Eve is obviously the important.
Yeah. And she says to Mark before they open up a portal for him to go back to his own timeline properly. that she loves Mark, and she goes, you need to, talk to Eve, tell her that you love her, or tell her that you don't. Just tell her something.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit! Like, so that has been weighing on her for 20 years for her to just say that to him right then and there. So Mark does go back through the portal after talking briefly with the future Guardian members. And
I like how they're like, bitch, we said we weren't going to tell him
right.
nothing. It's like every episode of Star Trek, where it's like, you motherfuckers violated the Prime Directive.
Again. Yeah. Look at that. It still says 0 days that we've gone without violating the Prime Directive. It hasn't been updated. Not 1 day.
No. Yeah. Yeah, whatever system rolls that over, they really could just shut it off to preserve power.
Right. Oh, man. So Mark does go back to his proper time, and Debbie's being tended to by Cecil, and she's taken to the hospital to get her arm fixed up. Her and Mark have a good cry. Baby Blueberry Ollie is still okay. And which, by the way, remember the one scene where the nanny, like, she goes back to Mark's house and she's got baby Ollie in her hands, and I'm like, is none of the neighbors gonna react to this little purple kid?
all of the neighbors in this neighborhood are just Cecil plants.
They gotta be, right?
Yeah, they're all like operatives. The whole neighborhood.
Yeah, man, another gas leak? That's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, and
I need to get my pipes checked.
Yeah. That was so great.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, what are the odds of that happening twice?
Twice, man.
Yeah, the whole neighborhood is just agents. Every last one of them.
It's got to be. Yeah. But Mark does go and talk to Adam Eve, and he doesn't seem to quite be ready to talk to her about what the future Adam Eve wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And so they kind of leave it a little up in the air. But the real ending of the episode, we go back to Nolan.
Yeah.
And he is getting ready for execution, which is, it's kind of, you kind of want to avoid execution if at all possible.
Yeah, typically.
Yeah, usually.
Although being in a Viltrumite prison also just seems bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot about their culture that seems baller out of control.
No, they're basically like Saiyans.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they truly are Saiyans mixed with Kryptonians.
And we get Alan, and he's like, I got in, it worked. I'm like,
yeah.
Bitch, you're in a Viltrumite prison.
Right.
I mean, I hope you got a better plan than this. Like, I hope this wasn't the whole plan.
Right.
I hope this was like part 1 of like 7,
Yeah, he's like, I'm kind of putting it together as I go.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit.
Like, I think I would have put that shit together before I ended up in the Viltrumite prison. The Viltrumite prison don't seem like a place that you break out of.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this motherfucker decided to break into it. But, yeah, so an interesting thing about that whole scene is that before that, we see Alan in space, and he's fighting Anissa. Like, she goes out and finds him, and this is when Alan comes up with the idea to get captured, because like he realizes, oh, I'm a lot stronger. Like when she punched me, that shit barely hurt.
Yeah.
And he was able to fucking wallop her one good time.
Yeah.
And so that's when he comes up with the idea, I'm going to get fucking captured. And I can go get Nolan this way. And so that way we can maybe bring him into the coalition. And so, yeah, he gets purposely captured, taken, and he telepathically communicates with Nolan. And so they're going to try to put a plan together. But at the very end of this episode, Nolan says that I think I miss my wife. I think we can assume he's talking about Debbie.
Yeah.
And not
the bug lady.
Yeah, not.
She's
Bug
probably
wife.
dead anyway.
She's got to be long dead now. Yeah. There's probably been a few generations of her that's come and gone.
I gotta be honest, man. I'm gonna be pissed off if like Debbie takes him back under any circumstances.
Oh.
Like that's just gonna be like a you broke superhero homie rule number 1.
Yeah, man. That I don't know how you do it. You know.
No, like, I mean, if anything, man, like, yeah, no, I kind of want Debbie to like Cecil slipped her some like Viltrumite weapon, and she just shoots this motherfucker when he shows up.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna see how they handle this. Yeah. I am very curious to see what they do with this.
Do you think we see this in season 3?
If anything, I think maybe at the end of season 3.
Like they bring Nolan back to Earth for some shit.
Yeah. So what I can see them doing is Alan and Nolan escaping, and then they're gonna probably go back to Alan's homeworld to meet up with the Coalition and to discuss plans to overthrow the Viltrum Empire. And then maybe that leads to like a big war between the Viltrumites and like the Earth heroes with the Coalition of Planets. And that's the only way I can really see Nolan getting back to Earth.
Yeah, like he goes there to get Mark for the fight.
Yeah.
What do? You just show up and like knock on the front door?
Yeah, hey. I just imagine like he goes back to his old house, knocks on the door, and the neighbor's like, "Nolan, is that you? Man, I thought you were dead."
Yeah. Well, you know, things happen.
Hey, be careful, man. You're like, there's been a gas leak.
Yeah, been going around. You know, watch out. Do you think we will get some Battle Beast in season 3?
Ooh.
You know I love me some Battle Beast.
Yes, man. So I think just to keep him on people's mind, he shows up. But in terms of like what happens with Battle Beast, we won't see him in a strong way until a few more seasons.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It would be nice to see him though. I do think that we might get Conquest next season. That would be a whole lot of fun if we do get Conquest.
That's the Viltrumite you were talking about, the BA Badass?
Yeah. Mr. BA Badass with a capital B and A. Yeah.
You think like maybe they get a victory over some of like the lesser Viltrumites, and then they're like, "Hey man, so Nolan went rogue."
Right.
And Conquest is like, "Okay. I'm on my way."
Yeah, that shit would be I mean, actually that tracks pretty well actually.
Yeah.
You know. In fact, here's a picture of him. And yeah, he is capital BA badass.
He looks like he's like the Captain Rex of fucking Viltrumites. Like, you can always tell how badass the male Viltrumites are by like how epic their mustache is.
Oh yeah, and that mustache is just
yeah, it's on another level.
Right. Yeah, so that would be a most epic battle of epic proportions. But who knows? That could be in season 3. But like the way that like the TV show kind of pulls certain plots, some of them forward and pushes some of them back, it could be, who knows?
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting, man. What do you want to see in season 3? Like, what do you predict the show going?
I want to see some more character development for Adam Eve. Like, I want her to sort of progress further into like getting more comfortable with her powers again. I would be fine with Immortal and Duplicate laying low for a season.
Yeah,
I really like both of those characters, especially Duplicate, but I think less is more here. Shit, I mean, let people think that she's dead.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see Mark get the suit upgrade.
Yeah.
I want to see Mark, of course, progress in his abilities. I think Alan and Nolan buddy cop shit could be really good.
Oh, hell yeah. Maybe see them go after some of the artifacts that Nolan was hitting at in his books.
Yes, I would be super hyped for that. I kind of want to see some more of like what Cecil is prepping. You know, we really don't get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Most of his stuff was either centered on Oliver or Donald for most of this season. As I said, I always want some fucking Battle Beasts back. I'm a big Battle Beast fan. Honestly, I'd like to see some of the Guardians stuff go forward a bit. A lot of their stuff was really like for this 4-episode arc, just them getting their ass beat and like how that came up, progressed after they got their ass whooped, like them healing up and everything, and like the team coming back from that. But you only tell that story so many times,
right?
So yeah, I mean, I think that's probably like the main beats I want to see from season 3.
So, I can say that like, just thinking about what they absolutely have to use from the comic books, there's a whole lot of stuff they still have to do with Amanda and Rudy. A whole lot of stuff, and I can't wait to see that unfold.
Right, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. It's
they didn't get a lot of screen time this.
They didn't, but they did the little bit of screen time they did get. It was typically those two together at least,
right?
And so their arc is really really cool. The less said there, the better.
No spoilies.
Yeah, no spoilies. Obviously, I mentioned Conquest. He's just Mr. B.A. badass. Battle Beast obviously is incredible. I think that maybe next season we might meet Thrag, the leader of the Viltrumites.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think that would be. I don't know if he does anything in season 3, but we might at least see him.
So would you say Conquest is the most badass of the Viltrumites?
I think Conquest is the most badass. He's the scariest. The Thrag, you can imagine to be like
if you're the leader.
Yeah.
He got to be up there too.
Yeah. So, you can't be the leader and not be the strongest.
Yeah.
Imagine if our fucking presidency was that way. And fucking Joe Biden's got like a fucking 12-pack just fucking stacked underneath that suit.
He's got to fight The Rock.
I don't want to see that. That's fucking elder abuse. Oh shit. There's some really cool stuff that has to happen. I don't want to say too much, but I think that next season, we'll probably see more of the Mark variants. Because there's definitely a lot to go there.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. The ones that were like properly trained by Nolan.
Yep, those guys.
Yeah.
And the Viltrumite War. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna start, but maybe we're gonna get the ball rolling in that direction. So again, like with no spoilers, especially for this, but I know a lot of people online have been talking about, and I wish they wouldn't, because again, it is a kind of a big spoiler, but there's a thing that happens between two characters that have not been introduced in the show, and it was a very controversial thing that happened in the comic books. And people are wondering, are they gonna do the thing in the show? And I'm like, they haven't shied away from anything so far.
Right.
So yeah, we're gonna see. And also I think like if it's done right, it can like really shed light on some shit that does actually happen. And
that's full circle of the theme of the night. We gonna see.
Yeah, we gonna see. Yeah. So yeah, as far as that thing goes, like for those of you who have read Invincible, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't, you probably we gonna see. You probably gonna see if it's gonna happen or not. And
I mean, Amazon let them do the hero-gasm in The Boys.
They did let them do hero-gasm. They did.
So all the way up.
All the way up. Yeah, Amazon don't give a fuck. Apparently, like, will it make us money? Fucking do it then.
Yeah.
But no, there's so much cool shit that still has to happen in Invincible. Oh, and Oliver, I think he's gonna age up.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And we're gonna finally get to see more of Ollie. I mean, yeah, and Ollie, he's such a great character. Like by the time the series is done, you get to see how much he's literally grown.
Yeah.
and developed. Yeah, so it's great, really fucking great. So yeah, I can't wait, man. So hopefully next year. Realistically, what do you think? Next spring?
If they split it up like this,
I think it'd be together.
Yeah, if we get the whole season together, I think we probably got to wait till fall.
Yeah.
And that's assuming that there's no bullshit or scheduling issues or anything like that.
Right. Man, I feel like we kind of are in. I don't want to speak too soon, but we're heading in the right direction towards like a nice little golden era of like superhero media. Between Invincible and X-Men '97, I feel like we just need like one more thing to just really knock it out of the park.
And I mean, we've got the best two video game adaptations.
Oh yeah,
are both like on right now, and like they've already greenlit season 2 for Fallout.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah.
Walton Goggins is gonna be a busy man,
right? Oh yeah, and plus he's gonna get his Shield spinoff show.
Oh God, I don't think he is. I'm so glad that I'm pretty sure that the director will never let them dig that up.
What the
Shield?
The Shield?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sean Ryan will never.
Oh yeah, you think he won't let them touch it?
He would never let them touch it. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, because that show is perfect as is.
Yeah, I mean, they could give it a Netflix run and it maybe get the Suits treatment.
Yeah,
but it's not as palpable as Suits.
I can see them doing something along the lines like El Camino. Where like we got Breaking Bad, and then we get like this one kind of like spin-off movie to like wrap up what we were doing with Jesse.
I don't know, man.
I don't think that we need it, but
the ending is too perfect.
Yeah.
Like that show ends exactly the way it should. And the only person that didn't really get a full like neat ending for their arc was like maybe Danny and Julian, and that motherfucker's in prison. So
yeah, like for realsies,
yeah. The guy that plays Julian in that show killed his wife IRL and is in prison for it.
Yep. So. Just another day.
That wasn't quite at the right volume, but
yeah. Damn, I don't know how we got off on the Shield.
We did, yeah. So
it happens.
Walton Goggins.
That's how it happened. But. Yeah. Golden Age. Yeah. There's a lot of really good television right now.
Yeah,
and
especially animated stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
We're gonna get some more What If.
Right. We can get some more What If.
There's a specific cameo related to that. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. We'll have to talk about that later on a different review, but that was not accidental.
Yep.
So
yeah, that shit was super intentional. It's gonna be interesting. Fucking yeah, 97 is
This is literally a X-Men year for Disney.
It is.
Think about it. Like the two big releases are going to be 97 and Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah. Oh shit, yeah.
It's going to be so many fucking Deadpools at Dragon Con.
Goddamn, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a lot. Yeah, and because Dragon Con is going to be post Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a fuck ton of X-Men cosplays, though.
That part's going to be dope.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think that's all I got for Invincible, man. You got anything else for season 2? Any final thoughts, feelings?
That's all I got, man. I think we said all there is to be said, and I'm really hyped for it. Is all I got to say. So
yeah, same. Listen, guys, if you haven't read the comic books, right, and if for whatever reason you weren't blown away by season 2, first of all, I have to say, how dare you? This was a great season of television. And secondly, I have to say there is so much more to come. I mean, there is so much more amazing, mind blowing, dropping shit that still needs to happen. And I cannot wait for it to unfold. It's going to be amaze balls. So just be patient with the show because shit is about to kick off. Season 2, like where it correlates with the comic books, this is a come down right now before shit ramps right back up. So yeah, put your grown person panties on and get ready because shit's about to get wild. But yeah, that's all we have for Invincible season 2. Again, great season of television. I think they did a great job once again. I can't wait to see where the show goes next. But that's going to be all for now. If you guys have any kind of questions, comments, gifts, threats, food, supplies for us, then just hit us up at superherohomies@gmail.com or any other social media outlets like The Watcher. I'm always active, live, and listening. That's going to be all for now. But until then, my name is Superhero Homie Q.
And I'm Superhero Homie Caleb.